Paris, chérie, mon beau Paris.
Hello and welcome to Paris Set Me Free mini video tutorials. If you want to see a good version of the photograph I'm going to discuss, go to the blog at parissetmefree.blogspot.com. Now, I was in the 19th arrondissement of Paris looking for a park that I was rather annoyed to discover I didn't know. It was a park that begins with Butte. It's not Butte Montmartre, not Butte aux Cailles, not Butte Chaumont. No, a place called something like Le Parc de la Butte du Chapeau Rouge. Butte du Chapeau Rouge, the Red Hat hill, something like that. And it was a park I was on my way to or coming from. I can't quite remember. And I must admit, some parts of the 19th are slightly grim. And I was making my way along the road, looked to the side and saw this thing. And I must say, this is just right next to the périphérique, which is the ring road that goes around Paris. And often when you get towards it, either just before it or just after it, and under some of the bridges which go under it, it's not the nicest of places, I can tell you. And when I saw this, I thought, well, to be quite frank, it's one of the scariest buildings I've ever seen in my life. I strolled up to it, feeling pretty nervous, and discovered that it was in fact apartments. So at least if I remember rightly, people actually live in this thing. It reminds me of some sort of horrendous prison or something from, you know, The Matrix or the film Cube, where people are kept in horrendous concrete buildings with no windows and there's no way out, and something futuristic, sort of Armageddon type stuff. No, it's an apartment block, very nice, overlooking the motorway. Lovely angles to it, very nice. Sticking out there. It was next to a sporting complex. Around it, it's reasonably okay. It's green, but when you look at it, it's just so scary. I can't imagine who would have imagined that this would be a pleasant place to live. Now, here's my photograph, and I had a few different ones. This is the only one with a bird in, and I must admit I'm a bit of a bird fan. When you've got a bird, as with people, it adds life to a picture, and there's a nice irony there, because the bird is flying and yet this thing looks so much like Colditz or some sort of horrible, unbelievably cruel prison, that a bird flying is a nice symbol to contrast with that. You've got a couple of lampposts. Well, you've got 3 lamps here, 1, 2 and 3, but you will have realized that there's an awful lot of sky here which doesn't say much. There's an awful lot of green, very dark green with no detail, and this side here doesn't do much. So I've turned it around from a landscape photograph into a portrait photograph, and this is the result. As you can see, I've really minimalized. I've got rid of a lot of the stuff, a lot of detail. If we just flick back to that, compare again, see how light and airy this picture is, see how much brightness there is compared to this. Now, you might think that's strange. You might think I would want to concentrate on the dark, foreboding, oppressive atmosphere of all these green bushes and so on. But having said that, I wanted to make this the center of the picture and contrast it starkly and clearly with the bird. So I did go for this. And I think the building does speak for itself. Maybe in retrospect I should have left more of the things around the side in, but I've left 2 lamps in, one there and one there, so there's an angle between them. there's this horrendous angle here, going up to this knife edge, and this I've played around a little bit to make it harsher, to accentuate the cruel texture, windowless texture of this sort of rotting dark grey concrete blocks or whatever they've made it out of, with this little bit of green, this pathetic attempt of nature to hide this monstrosity, which I discovered later. I was actually on the motorway a couple of days later, passing this and saw it, and it brought a shudder to my soul to see this building. I did actually go up to it, and I found this gate which I opened and went through, and it led to the edge of the motorway and round the back. If you imagine, round the back of this building. I was pretty nervous, and I also have a rather nice camera, and I saw that it was leading nowhere, and I saw these kids looking out of the window of this building, I think it was, looking onto the motorway and onto me, and about 3 or 4 of them looked out and said something or shouted, and my heart jumped and I panicked, and I just almost ran back to the safety of the village, the town, away from this place. So it's a good example of Paris not always being the beautiful romantic city that people think it is. Right, well, that's all I've got to say on that rather scary picture. Perhaps I should just say that if you decide that a picture has a mood, if it's a mood you're trying to convey, then do what is necessary to emphasize that mood to the maximum. You know, if it's a scary looking building, use a technique which makes it look even scarier. Include the bird, which emphasizes the idea of freedom, which is something that perhaps the people in here don't have. Okay, that's all for that one. Thanks for listening. Have a look at the high quality picture on the blog parissetmefree.blogspot.com, and see you next time. Bye bye.
Depuis que je suis à Paris, le jour et la nuit, je suis gris. J'ai compris la douceur de vivre. Je suis fou de joie, je suis ivre. Depuis que je suis à Paris.